Well, hi there. This is actually one of the most difficult videos that I've made. I'm dealing with facts here, and in order to tell you the story, I need to refer to facts, and I know there are people out there that understand the facts far better than I could, and they have a complete knowledge of some of the subject matters that I'm talking about. First disclaimer, I do not want to upset anybody by what I'm saying, and I am not going to be talking about religion. I am not going to be talking the pros and cons of either faith, and what I'm about to tell you is only from information I found on the internet by digging and finding the information. Google. I want to take you back into 1600, and from here on until the end of this video I'm not going to be referring to dates. I'm fairly good with names, but dates will just confuse the hell out of you because the jigsaw pieces will actually become more confused. The names of the characters that I'm going to talk to you about, there are 6, 7 characters, and to mention those, that's fine, but I'm not going to be actually mentioning dates too much. Queen Elizabeth I, she set sail a company which was known as the East India Company. It became known as the company and still exists today. Its purpose was to trade in the East Indies. It was to compete with the Dutch and the Portuguese. They were literally mining the spices and the wealth of the East Indies. Now, within 20 years, the Mayflower with the Pilgrims sailed out of the British Isles, but in actual fact from Europe. People went over to the New World, and they were unhappy about the church and about the Catholic influence that was being made on Christianity in that time. Within 100 years, the East India Company had grown, and now it was consuming land masses, continents, countries. It was actually taking over, and 260,000 troops in the East India Company, this trading company, were actually taking over India and Ceylon, Sri Lanka, making inroads into Burma. Now, in the period that the British Army were in India, a guy by the name of Thomas, Leon middle name, Owens, a pay clerk, he met and married a lady by the name of Anna Edwards. She had been born in India to, once again, the army, and she had never been to Britain. They left India and they went to Australia, following a teaching profession of her uncle. They had 4 children in Australia. Sadly, 2 of them died, and Ava and Louis followed them to Penang, and there, sadly, Thomas' father, he died. Well, Mum and 2 children, they went to Singapore, and she reinvented herself as the widow of an army major, and she was teaching British officer children in Singapore. Now, at this time, I want to bring in a guy whose name is Dan Beach Bradley. Well, I'm here at the First Church of Chiang Mai, and I've come here because I want to talk about a guy by the name of Dr. Dan Beach Bradley. He's actually a medical doctor, and he joined the missionary service, part of the American Board of Commissioners for Foreign Missionaries. He came out here with his wife in 1834 after meeting her in the States. Her name was Emily Royce. Emily and Dan had 4 children, and by the age of 15, 3 of them had passed away. One of them went on to a ripe old age of 96. His name was Cornelius. He came to Siam and was involved in the Bangkok station. He went on to marry again a lady by the name of Sarah, and they had 3 children, Sarah, Irene and Dwight, but that was back in the States. Now Dan Bradley, he was operating as a medical missionary in Bangkok, and he was actually involved in smallpox vaccination. He's renowned for effectively inoculating people in Bangkok. He also brought the first printing press into Siam, and he also set up the Petbury station. He was well in with the royal court and was treating people in the court with medicine, and is known for performing the first surgery. Now there's 2 stories. One is on a monk chopping his arm off, and the second story is that he removed a tumour from a slave, whichever. He's actually recorded for the first surgery in Siam. So King Mongkut, Rama IV, he was wanting to bring Western influence to the country. He announced to the world that he wanted to open its doors to foreigners. And Daniel McGilvary, who was studying in the Presbyterian church in the States, he ordained, and he was eager to come to Siam, a complete new flock. He came and started in Bangkok, joining Dan Bradley. After a while, Dan Bradley's daughter married McGilvary, and the pair of them came north to Chiang Mai. Her name was Sophia Royce. Her name had come from her father and her mother, Sophia Royce Bradley. So Sophia McGilvary and Daniel McGilvary here in Chiang Mai, they were following on from the good work that he had started of doing smallpox vaccinations, but also now, because he was a reverend, not a doctor, he wanted to convert people. And they set up the first church of Chiang Mai just as you come across the bridge, coming across from Narawat. And you see on the right hand side the white church with school, which is the Christian school there. It's not that. The first is on the left hand side as you come over there, and you can see a sign there, the first Christian school, Chiang Mai. They actually lived in a bamboo hut there for many years, and they tried to convert people, and there's a record of them trying to convert 6 people, and 2 of them were murdered by the order of the Chiang Mai king at that time, King Ichiwini. I've got to read this to you. He was born Prince Intanon, I've got that, but to remember the surname, the last name, I can't remember that. It's Intawichianon, King Intawichianon. He was the 7th king, ruler of Chiang Mai, of Lana, and he had a daughter. Her name was Dara Priom. Now, the 2 were murdered and the other 4 fled. And what McGilvary were finding, that they were having no luck in converting people, but they were finding that people needed help medically and they needed assistance with health, and they called to, for help from the States, and they were sending over more missionaries. And there was a guy called Dr Cheek. He was helping for a while, and he was known to be the most colourful of all the missionaries. He came for medical reasons to help, and unfortunately he then jumped ship later to become part of the other foreigner enclave residents trading. So because they were not medically trained, McGilvarys were doing as much as they could for education, but all the same they were also trying to get vaccinations done. How that was done by them, with whose help, it's not too clear. They started schools, and they started the first boys' school, and that was down at Wang Siang Kam, which is down on the west side of the Ping River, opposite a known island of Koh Klang. More about that island later. They started the first girls' school of Chiang Mai, and that's on the road that comes from Chiang Rai down past the bus station, and on the left hand side there is now a plaque on the wall which says Dara Academy. Yep, this is Princess Dara, and you'll see her photograph there, and also Sophie. These McGilvarys started that school there for girls. Now, the clinic they were running for people who needed health, help with their health and assistance with their health, this was called the American Hospital in due course, and when it really got on its feet, it was more than a clinic, it became the hospital. And that was sited next to the Dara Academy, and for people in Chiang Mai who know the area, that's where the McCormick Hospital is sited now. Now, on the opposite side of the road to McCormick, you've got part of the Piap University campus, and that was the early school of McGilvary that was for Bible reading. And further on down the same road you have Prince's College. Well, there's a name above the door of Prince's College, which is Reverend Harris. Well, he came later, but it was McGilvary and Reverend Collins who started the first boys' school down by the river. And when it became so big, the Rama 6 actually moved it up to become what we now see as the Prince's College. This is Khao Narabat, the road that leads from Chiang Rai, past the arcade bus station amongst other places, all the way down to Khao Narabat. Beyond the trees here is the Dara Academy. Here is the McCormick American Hospital. Behind me is the Piap, start of Piap University, which was in actual fact the Bible school of McGilvary. If you go all the way down this road, you'll get to the river. Turn left and you end up back at the first church. So the whole of this quadrant here is actually foreigner based. Incidentally, in Chiang Rai, they started the first Christian school there as well, and that still exists today. You can hear up here there's a bar bit. Boop, 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 boop. Lovely. Nice to have that accompaniment. Now, the McGilvarys did their work as best they could, trying to convert people, couldn't convert people, got the medicine coming along, helping people with education, and they called for help to help them with the hospitals, and along came a guy called James W McKean, and he was part of the same association of American Missionary Association that was able to medically relieve the McGilvarys. Now, at that time there was 50 to 150, according to the records, people living on an island called Koklang, and they were suffering from leprosy. I'm not going to talk about McKean Senior Centre right now. I'm going to leave that for the next video. But right now, I'm going to go back to when King Mongkut, Rama IV, he invited foreigners in. Now, the lady that married the army pay clerk in India went over to Australia, had 2 children with her when she came back to Singapore, Louis and Ava. Now, she sent Ava to England, Britain, for education, and therefore she was in the royal court with Louis, and Louis was raised and being taught alongside Rama V and others in the royal court. Now, she spent 5 years at the royal court and then went back to Britain. When Louis was 25, he came back out to Siam, and he was given a privileged position in the cavalry. He was a captain, and he was given that by his friend Rama V. So let me just rewind slightly. Back in 1886, the 7th king of Chiang Mai, and I'll read the name again, King Intawitchianon, he had a daughter, Princess Dara Priom. Story goes that Queen Victoria of Britain wanted to adopt her, and indeed, because of the previous activities that were going on with the company and the taking over of most of the East Asia by the East India Company and the British, the 7th king thought, I may actually have a problem. Equally, Rama V, it had come from Rama IV, but then Rama V actually was concerned of the same. And in order to secure that Lana, because obviously Chiang Mai was the centre of Lana, it was proposed that Princess Dara Priom marry Rama V to bring the influence, the control of Lana, Chiang Mai, under the banner of Siam, and increase therefore the power and deter the British from taking over Chiang Mai, Lana. So Dara Priom became a very important individual, well respected person, and to have her originating from Chiang Mai was a tremendous asset to the McGilvarys. Now, at this time, it's known that a couple of events happened. One, Rama V came to Chiang Mai and made a proclamation because McGilvary had complained that the people he had converted were being persecuted, and he was not welcomed. The missionaries were unsafe. They felt threatened, and Rama V came and said, you must here in Lana actually give space for these people to do their work, and it was called the Proclamation of Tolerance. And that opening acceptance had a big influence for the future of not just McGilvary's but everybody who came thereafter. Now, the second thing that Rama V did at that point was to open up trade of timber, and he told the world that foreigners could come here into Thailand Siam and lop trees, sell them and build business here. Louis jumped from cavalry into the Borneo trading company, and they were operating out of Indonesia, Malaysia, with the logging that was going on there. And Louis set up office in Tak. He joined the office in Tak, and after only a couple of years moved up to Chiang Mai, and he set up the Borneo office here. Well, this is about the third or fourth time I've done this video. I've had a real big problem. You know, I've drawn A3 sheets on the wall and you know, positioned all of these characters in the same in the right places, and got all of the background on them, and gone to the city and actually taken video at locations. And I wanted to position it for you, and I thought, I'm going too deep in this. Keep it simple. I hope I've kept it as simple as I intended. Who knows? Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something from it, and I hope you look forward to the next one of McKean. Today is our 17th anniversary, and I brought Nataporn to afternoon tea at the residence and office of Louis T Leonownes. The house is the original house with 137 pillars, hence the name, and it was the original office of the Borneo company back at the turn of the century. This is one of several buildings that the offices built. I'll show you another one in another video, but there's a bit downstairs I want to show you. It's like a little bit of a museum, and it's got some nice photographs there and nice pieces to show you. At the moment, her 137 pillars have got a bit of a deal on. You can come for afternoon tea with about 300 or 400 baht discount, and they give you nice 3 tiers of food, and you can have you know, teas and coffees and things. It's a very nice, relaxed atmosphere.
Whipped cream A-Care ท็อปด้วยไวท์ช็อกโกแลตนะครับผมแอปเปิลคอฟฟี่เครกอินชูเตอร์เป็นบานาน่าต้าแมงโก้นะครับผมโรสเวลเวทคุกกี้แพทเทอร์ฟูดมาการองมิกแครนเบอรี่สตอนะครับเสิร์ฟกับบลูเบอรี่คอมโพสและมัสคาโปนครีมชีสครับเป็นที่ได้ครับขอบคุณครับ
Now the reason I've come here today is not just because it's our 17th anniversary of being together. It's also about finishing this story of the McKean and Louis T Leonownes, the first part of this video. I wanted to draw a parallel between these two to bring you this story all along, because I wanted to demonstrate to you that, you know, people were living in quite different conditions. The American missionaries were here to help and bring education and bring health improvements and equality, and the British, or the people who actually followed the trading activities, they were here to plunder. They were here to take the teak away, take the resources of the country away, albeit that it was bringing money into the country as well, but they were on two different sides at the same time. So what you have is you know, it's the upper class, lower class. It's the do-gooders and the people who are takers. It's that sort of analogy that I felt when I was investigating this. I hope you can see what I'm talking about here. I don't mean any you know, ill feeling to either. I just want to demonstrate those differences to you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave me a comment below. Part 2 will follow shortly, and that will be focused on Dr. McKean. And there's a rich list of activities that he was involved in at the McKean Senior Centre, so that will be a very interesting video. Well, we've enjoyed a lovely afternoon here at 137 Pillars. We had a nice afternoon tea. It's a an afternoon event that you can book yourself to come here. It's a very special place, and knowing that it was our anniversary, they provided us a cake as well. Quite a surprise. Very nice.
Rama.
The staff are absolutely delightful. They speak good English, and of course they speak Thai too. Underneath here is a little museum, and there's some nice photographs on the wall of the old buildings and the renovation work that was done here. And also there you'll see the photographs of the previous managers of the building, and that includes Leo and or Louis, should I say, and also Dr Cheek, and the final owner, Mr Bain, before he sold it on to the present owners, the hotel chain, the new owners, the Thai people. Anyway, we wish you well, and I ask you, please give us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment below if you've enjoyed this video, and please consider subscribing if you've not subscribed already. Check back on a regular basis. You'll see videos published by me, us, a couple of times a week, and we hope to see you the next time. Until then, stay well, stay safe, bye bye.